Welcome to the Confidence Through Health podcast. My name is Jerry Snyder. As a health, wellness, and sports performance coach, my goal each week is to bring you experts to help you take control of your health and build your self-confidence. Thanks for including me today on your journey to better health. As an elite level runner and coach, I'm excited to introduce you to the All In Running Club. The All In Running Club exists to help you become a better runner. Whether you're a beginner, an elite runner, or anywhere in between, the mission of the All In Running Club is to give you the tools you need to find your success in running. Join today to take advantage of the 75% off yearly membership rate offer. Click the link below in the show notes to learn more. Well, thank you, Dr. Ishan, for being a guest on the Confidence Through Health podcast.
Thank you so very much for having me.
So you are you're an expert in yoga and helping people overcome, I would say, some of the anxiety and mental health issues that so many of us face in today's world, right?
Yes.
So what got you, like, what spurred that, like, okay, this is what people need and I can fill this gap and I know what to do to how to help them?
Yes. So basically, I was raised in a very yogic environment. So it's an ashram setting in India where everybody was very happy. We had a lifestyle. We dedicated ourselves to this self-evolution, and it is like an oasis. So you're cut off from all the chaos of the world,
Right.
and I was living in that, and I had my moment when I came out of it, and I saw how the world is. And I won't say this is a unique thing that happened to me. Apparently, this is a journey that people in India have been chronicling for a long time. Buddha had the same thing. He was in his palace uh, in a closed environment. When he came out, he was suddenly shocked, and that inspired him to find a greater truth. Then we have heroes like Ram,
Right.
who also was a prince who lived in a certain environment, and when he came out, he was exposed to other truths, and that inspired him. And the same happened with me, but I wasn't a prince, I wasn't a king, I wasn't a hero. I was just a monk in training
Right.
who was exposed to this wonderful lifestyle. And I'm blessed because I didn't go out looking for it, because I see so many people in the West, they leave everything and they go to India trying to find it. And
Right.
I just got the lottery
Right.
by birth. And then when I came out, I saw, oh my God, there's so much stress, there's so much chaos, there's so much frustration, and how people will be able to benefit if those modalities that I learned can be integrated into the modern world.
Right.
Yes.
Well, and that's like, to just touch on that for a second, is we do in this country specifically, and I haven't traveled extensively, but in this country, I know specifically, like we get so focused in being busy, right? And we forget that, like, oh, well, time's going to keep going, whether we're filling our space with a bunch of stuff that in the end doesn't really matter, because when we get to our deathbed, we're going to say, oh, why didn't I spend more time doing this or this with my loved ones, or, and so it's like, why can't we just stop and slow down?
Oh, sir, that is a phenomena everywhere in the world, even in the East. Uh, I've had mothers come and complain to me that why their child is not stressed. So a child is going to school and he's just happy being in school, and the mother said he needs to be stressed about his future, about his studies.
Right.
And then I have parents come to me and say that, oh, why the young person is not stressed about getting married and having a home. So imagine that, parents wishing that their
Yeah.
child was more stressed. And as you said, get busy. And that's this thing that we have been indoctrinated
Right.
from a early age, that if we want to have any self-worth, if we want to have any form of identity, then we must go out there and be productive for the system.
Right.
Now, what that system is, what that productivity means, who knows? But
Right.
yes, it's like a hamster running on a
Hmm.
wheel.
Yep.
And yes, we look around, we are social animals, and we see everybody going somewhere, doing something, and we think, I also have to do the same, yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like a dog chasing his tail, no
Right.
purpose.
Right. Well, and it's funny because when I went out on my own and started my own business and got out of the corporate world in that I'm in the office every day and I've got all this to-do list and da 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 da. And now like sure I work to obviously to make money so that we can pay the bills that we have to pay because that's the way our system works. But I know a lot of people around my area that will be like, dude, do you ever work? Like you're off, you're running, you're off doing this, you're off doing that. Like you never seem like you're working. And I'm like, that's because I built my life around the fact that I can do things that people will pay me for, but they're not things that stress me out. And so when you see me at the grocery store, I'm not super busy rushing to get everything. Like I'm just like, okay, I'll take my time. Oh, you want to talk? I'll talk to you for 10 minutes. Let's go. Like, you know, um, and I think that's for me, that's slowed my life down. And I can tell that I'm whether you call it joy or happy or peace, but it's like I have a different level, I think, than a lot of people. And so stress doesn't get to me anymore.
Yeah, but the beautiful thing here is that you understood it.
Right.
This is what people are aiming for, striving for, but always later.
Hmm.
Like I'll work for the week so I can relax in the weekend.
Right.
I'll work during the month so I can have vacation. I'll work all my life so I'll retire.
Hmm.
So this gratification that has to come from life, it's always later.
Right.
College now, job later, marriage now, joy later. I don't know. It's always
Yep.
like sometime else. So we are doing the grind now, and the peace is going to come later. And this is something that you realize, which is beautiful, that joy has to be in the moment.
Right.
And I teach that to people who are even pursuing yoga and meditation, because I don't know from where this concept seeped in even into yoga and meditation, that if you push yourself right now in all these modalities, then eventually one day there is going to be this form of enlightenment,
Right.
and then the joy will come. So
Right.
today, even though the practice seems sucky to us and it's not nice, and we're just pushing ourselves because tomorrow the enlightenment is going to come. And I and i teach people that it's not the case. You have to enjoy the practice.
Right.
The journey has to be enjoyable, and then what happens in future happens, or maybe there's no future. Who knows?
Right. Right.
Sometimes there is no later, and
Right.
COVID showed us that.
Yeah.
So everything has to happen in that now. So embracing the now is something that's phenomenal, and I'm so happy you found it.
Well, and that's something that, like you said with yoga, like because I know a lot of people that will go to the yoga studio and it's their approach to it is it's my gym, my exercise, my okay, they are releasing stress in that moment, but like you said, they're chasing that. Oh, in the future, I'll get there and it'll be better. I'll be a master of it, or I'll be able to go and hit that Zen moment where a lot of times I think if we don't go into it with that pressure of this is going to lead to something, then we can enjoy it in the moment, like you said.
Yes. Um, I think there are different approaches to yoga. Yoga in the gym is a body centric approach, which is beneficial. And I don't know if people who have that body centric approach really are looking for that Zen. But then I think in this modern world, the standards of Zen are so low that anything can be Zen. It's like
Right.
when a person is drowning, then he doesn't care if a yacht comes to rescue him, or somebody comes in an helicopter. Even a small rope or a piece of wood
Right.
is sometimes the respite that they are looking for. So I do see people who go to the gym and that's like their meditation, because many
Hmm.
times I I'm talking to people and I'm telling them the benefit of meditation, and they're like, oh, for me, walking on the beach with a dog is meditation, or
Yeah.
oh, for me, going to the gym and pumping iron is meditation. And which is fine, because the world is so complicated right now
Yeah.
that anything that we can get is that benefit.
Mhm.
But here we have to understand that we cannot water down the vernacular.
Right.
You know, walking on the beach is a peaceful activity,
Hmm.
but we can't say it is my meditation, because meditation is something so very grand, so very
Right.
powerful. Just like I can't say that, oh, the coin in my pocket is my $1 billion. The coin in your pocket is your coin, but it's not $1 billion. And I
Right.
can't say that, oh, the Prius that I'm driving is my Rolls Royce. You can feel that it is,
Sure.
and but it's not.
Yeah.
It's like if we can compromise with it and we can be at peace with it, well, it's not a Rolls Royce.
Right.
So in the same way, meditation is so much more powerful. And that's why I try to inspire people that yes, go on the beach, enjoy the beach, go in the gym, enjoy the gym. But if you need to, or if you can, at some point explore yourself a little bit more.
Hmm.
Meditation is a great tool, and it would be amazing if somehow we can understand what it really is.
Right.
Yes, sir.
And like you sort of mentioned earlier, it's the journey piece, right? It's like nobody's going to
Yes.
be an expert the first time they try it. It's going to take practice. Um,
Definitely.
yeah.
And that's what sometimes uh, gives people a bad taste in the mouth.
Hmm.
uh, they do the meditation process, and then after the first, and it's not their fault actually. Right now you have to understand the field of yoga and meditation is like the wild wild west. A lot of people over promise and under
Hmm.
deliver,
Right.
and it's like sold as this phenomenal process, and people have wild expectations. So the expectation management thing is very very important, and I do
Yeah.
understand, because the internet changed everything.
Sure.
So everybody is looking for attention. Even if a coach has the right intention, but how will he support his practice if he cannot grab the attention
Right.
of people? So all these ludicrous claims go out there that, oh, do yoga, this will happen, that will
Yeah.
happen. And then when a person comes, they have all these expectations, and when they do the practice, they get the benefit. It is a good benefit, it's a wonderful benefit,
Sure.
but it's not that benefit
Right.
that they read about. Then like, it means nothing to me. And
Yeah.
that's why managing expectation is very very important. And as you said, everything beautiful takes time.
Yeah, it does. And I love that managing expectation piece and understanding that, like, because there's so many things out there that you can see, like somebody says, "Oh, I've got the key. This is how you're going to be able to make it work." Right? You've tried it before, but it didn't work because you didn't have this. Um, and a lot of times I think when we try it and we don't, it's because we didn't manage our own expectations. And the missing key is slow down and really absorb what's going on.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's also the hubris of people.
Hmm.
uh, I remember when I first came to the West, um, there was this saying. I met somebody and he said, in California, you throw a rock and when it falls down, it falls on a yoga teacher. And yoga itself, the practice of yoga, it's thousands of years old.
Right.
Monks in India spent lifetimes to master this. And then imagine somebody comes, looks at that art, thousands of years old, that has seen the sacrifice, that has seen the mastery of so
Mhm.
many saints, and takes this and says, I think what this is missing is if a goat is jumping around when people are doing asanas? Yes, I
Right.
have the key. I
Yep.
found the answer. That is
Yeah.
what it was missing. The cake was perfect, but my cherry made it into a bajillion-dollar cake. And
Right.
it's hubris, but yeah, no harm done. But sometimes it's silly as well, because I
Mhm.
was the most interesting thing, there was like alcohol yoga. So you drink a beer, do some asana, drink 10 beers, and then it happens on its own because you are
Right.
on the ground and something is happening. So that's what I'm thinking, that rather than really understanding the art as what it was supposed to be, we have just taken the key word and the goodwill of that word,
Hmm. Hmm.
and now we are trying to sell whatever we are trying to sell
Yeah.
on the goodwill that art has already created, the science, the research that's already created. So sometimes I even tell people, be wary of what you are consuming, because it may have the same name, but it's not what you think. The
Yeah.
same thing that people experience in health foods, and we
Right.
we hear about it, read about it all the time. It's promoted as health food, but then the sugars in it, the
Right.
chemicals in it, it's sometimes worse than having a fizzy drink.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's where the education of a person is very, very important. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and you called yoga an art, and it immediately triggered in my mind, like we all like it we don't have to be an expert in, art to know and see like, oh, that's a beautiful painting or a beautiful picture, or like we can recognize art, like a sculpture that's just beautiful. We can recognize it. And as an athlete coach, one of the things that I've heard many coaches say is that like good coaches can in top athletes, they can recognize greatness in another athlete, right? Like they can see like, okay, maybe they need a little help here or there with some fundamentals, but like they've got what it takes to go to the next level. And when we're looking at something like yoga, I think a lot of times we can sniff that out. We can sniff out like, oh wait, this is just somebody that's just got their little tweak on something, and it's not really, they're not doing the art form of it. Whereas somebody like yourself is like, you can tell that like, okay, they have mastered the art form of it. Then they still have more to go, obviously, because we all do, I think. But like there's a different level, and so then it's like, oh, okay, wait, let's what makes them different, and how can we get some of that and follow that and learn from that?
It's like what Yoda says to Luke Skywalker:
Hmm.
talent without training is useless,
Yeah.
because talent can only get us somewhere.
Right.
But then that training to hone that skill, when we find a diamond in the rough,
Hmm.
it looks like a stone. There's no visually, it looks like quartz.
Yeah.
But then when you cut the diamond in a certain way, then we can get the real beauty and the ability of the diamond to refract light.
Hmm.
And I think the same is that concept of a guru. What in sports you said, the coach,
Yep.
the great coach makes all the difference.
Hmm.
And the same is with a guru, it makes all the difference. That if we can get that right education, that right skill at that point in our life, and then we can hone it
Hmm.
based upon our own limitations and our own abilities, then that is where the real magic can happen.
Yeah.
But times are changing so fast, Mr. Jerry,
Hmm.
that here the process, little bit, if it can be changed, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I meet with a person and they are really wanting to bring a wellness practice in their lives.
Hmm.
And I look at them like somebody who's in the circus juggling, because they are juggling their families, they're juggling
Hmm.
their work, they are juggling three mortgages, the student debt, and this and that. And then I tell them that, oh, you have to be very careful of the smoothie that you drink in the morning, or very careful of when you sleep in the morning, and then
Right.
meditate and this breath work, that breath work, and people can get burned out with their wellness practice also.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where it was a wake up call for me, because this happened during the time of COVID.
Hmm.
So 2019, I came to the US and I had to research on the IKS based, Indian Knowledge System based methods for mental health.
Hmm.
And we had all these studies planned. We got all these IRBs, and we were about to start in March 2020, and then you know
Yeah.
COVID happened.
Right.
And suddenly, when COVID happened, everything changed. All the parameters changed.
Yep.
People approach towards mental health changed, and we realized that this gift of time, now people don't have it,
Hmm.
because suddenly families were being isolated, alienated. uh, Parents were being the spouses were being quarantined away from each other. And yeah, some states things were nice, some states things were horrible. And
Right.
if I look at a global scale, uh, there were some countries where things were just abysmal.
Yeah.
Children were being quarantined away from school, learning became remote. There was loss of family members as well at some places,
Hmm.
and people had to deal with it very,
Right.
very fast. And as a teacher, as a coach myself, now I suddenly did not have the luxury to take it slow with the population groups.
Yeah.
And then I also needed protocols, protocols that were evidence based, protocols that were structured, that could be given to people asynchronously so that they can somehow benefit themselves.
Hmm.
And allowing the self to become one's own guru
Right.
was the need of the hour. So we worked upon that. We tweaked, we evolved on the go. And I think if that integrative approach is taken, then we can get more benefit. And sometimes we get too attached to the process.
Hmm.
And in the words of Bruce Lee, be like water.
Right.
Sometimes we need to flow. And if the process can be tweaked a little bit with the help of science,
Mhm.
why not?
Right. Well, and I think that's something that when you look at yoga, and you mentioned the breath work and the meditation and all of that encompasses true yoga as an art, then because it's so much more than just an exercise. Like when you look at all of that, and again, it may not happen the first time, but you're going to get to a point where that process is going to start to go, oh wait, I'm either missing a piece, or maybe this door leads this way, and so it changes the process. Because I think sometimes we get so stuck on, nope, this is the way it's supposed to be, and so I'm just going to have to keep knocking this down, and just, you're banging your head against the wall until it won't move. But nope, this is the way it's supposed to be. Sometimes we need that moment that yoga can provide us, simply because we're stopping everything else and centering ourselves, and like you said, letting ourselves become our own guru. We know what we need. Sometimes we just got to stop the process and let us talk to ourselves.
Yes, and there's this joke I just remembered. So this lady goes to the doctor and says, "I'm not feeling well." So the doctor does the whole checkup, this, that, and then he says, I've realized you're not feeling well because there is pain in your tooth,
Mhm.
and we need to remove your tooth. And she said, you're trying to cheat me, because my mother-in-law came and there was diagnostic, and you removed her kidney. The surgery was better. So you also have to remove my kidney. Then
Mhm.
only I will get the real cure. and the doctor is banging his head that no, your problem is in the teeth.
Right.
Why do I have to remove your kidney? And some parameters of the study, it never changes.
Yep.
That's why when you look at the name Yoga of Immortals, I like that name, because I believe that a lot of knowledge in humanity, we do not discover it, we rediscover it.
Mhm.
Some things are fundamental truths.
Yep.
And yes, civilizations fall and empires crumble. So we may be lost to these fundamental truths, but eventually, as humanity evolves again, they will rediscover those fundamental truths.
Right.
So the concepts of yoga come from this understanding which is called Sanatan Dharma. And Sanatan Dharma literally means the eternal truth.
Mhm.
And this truth never changes. It's just we get away from it
Right.
and then we come back to it. Like you said that you were stuck in the grind of life, and then suddenly you realized that I don't have to live like that.
Right.
And then you came back to that eternal truth, that what joy and happiness is.
Yep.
So we can go away from it, but then we come back to it. So the
Right.
principles of yoga that come from the Sanatan Dharma, they are the same. They are the eternal truth. Then that is an immortal science, Yoga of Immortals.
Mhm.
An immortal science being rediscovered again and again over periods of time. But the journey through the process of this immortal science is very unique.
Yeah.
That is based on a certain person. So if I go and read a book, let's say I go and read autobiography yogi or something else, and living with the Himalayan masters, and then I look at that journey and I say, this is the journey.
Right.
These are the milestones. No, that's the journey for that gentleman.
Right.
When that gentleman went through the vehicle of the immortal truth, then that is the pathway that that gentleman took because of who they were.
Right.
Their own sanskaras. Sanskaras means our own belief systems, our own past, our own thoughts, our own afflictions.
Mhm.
So the milestones are always unique to that person's personality. And that's why I always say, embrace the vehicle of the immortal truth.
Right.
And then follow the journey wherever it takes you, because your journey is going to be unique. And be
Right.
appreciative of it. Be grateful towards it, and don't compare. The more you compare, the more you'll feel, you'll feel pathetic. Because
Yeah.
somebody out there may be having something more glittery and glowy than you. Then you'll say, my thing doesn't glitter. But then maybe it doesn't need to. Diamonds glitter. Credit card does not. Maybe you have a American black card and you can buy 20 diamonds, but you're like, that diamond is glittering. I want that.
Right.
Just enjoy what you have.
Right.
Appreciate. Yes.
Yeah. Well, and is that when you look at anxiety and in the things that I know people that you work with, exhibit, like, is comparing ourselves to each other, is that a big driver of what's causing us, this anxious feeling of we don't have enough, we don't have the right thing, our journey's not good enough. Like, is that comparison to other people what's driving all that?
Fear.
Fear?
Fear causes a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown, the uncertain, fear of what's going to happen to us. And I think that fear also makes us compare ourselves with each other,
Mhm.
because we are afraid of what we are doing, or we are afraid of the outcome, or afraid of we will be wrong, or we may be
Right.
wrong. And then we look at other people that maybe they are right, and maybe if 10 people are doing something and I try to imbibe that, then I can protect myself of this outcome that I'm thinking in my head. And fear makes us imagine stress.
Yeah.
So there is a real stress of things that will really affect us in our lives, like old age.
Mhm.
That is a milestone that will come, that's
Yeah.
real stress, or mother-in-law. That's a real stress, she will come to visit
Yep.
during the vacations, and then she's going to judge my parenting. That's
Right.
It's very real stress.
Yep.
But then there are imagined stresses, and that's fear making my mind work overtime and creating these demons and scenarios. Oh, what if the housing market crashes tomorrow? And there's a very good chance. There's a very good this, and then fear gives all these probabilities. And
Yeah.
oh, what if there's a World War III tomorrow? And oh, what if there's a civil war tomorrow? What am I going to do? I must make a bunker and I must,
Right.
get ready. So fear causes a lot of anxiety. And if we are in control of our mind, then fear can be a gift also,
Hmm.
because then it's helping us uh, analyze
Hmm.
the environment in a much better way and prepare precautionary. Then it's a survival tool.
Right.
But then if we do not control our mind, then the fear can become a fire that engulfs us.
Right.
And that is why meditation, it trains us. And some monks used to say meditation is the art of alchemy.
Hmm.
Alchemy is when you take something and then you make it go through a transformation process, and then something much more beautiful comes out of that same thing.
Right.
So we take fear and we make it into this powerful survival tool.
Right.
But that alchemical process needs to happen.
Yeah.
And that's why meditation, because I don't like to tell people that stress is bad, fear is bad, get it out. And that's the pharmaceutical approach.
Yeah.
You just numb a person chemically, you lobotomize them,
Yeah.
and then that person is just sitting, kumbaya, happy, happy, joy, joy in their head, and there's a threat in front, but that person is high on that pharmaceutical, then it cannot
Right.
analyze the threat, it cannot react to the threat, cannot respond through the threat, it cannot understand of what it is and what is
Hmm.
uh, the correct way, the correct measurement of my
Right.
response. And that is harmful. So I always say it's not the stress or fear that is bad, it is our response to that threat or fear that is good or bad. So
Right.
our war is never with stress or fear. Our war is with how we can become a better responder to
Right.
that feeling. Yes.
So through the practice of yoga, I would assume that, like, because I mean I've experienced this, but I know I'm an individual, and so, like, looking at a bigger sampling of people is like the practice of yoga. You identify those fears, like, okay, what's driving my anxiety? What's driving my fears? And then go, okay, well, if I put these things in place, right? Like, okay, the fear of not having enough money to pay the bills. Okay, well, if I've got the right job and I put the money in the bank and I don't spend it frivolously on other things, then that fear may still be there, but it's got a solution to it. I don't have to worry about it week after week after week. Right? Is that like what we're trying to accomplish, is like getting to that point of, like, okay, why is this fear continually causing me anxiety? Then address it and go, okay, I'm not trying to get rid of the fear. I just want to put a solution in place that says I don't have to be worried about that fear.
Yes, that will come later, but what immediately we will experience or what we'll get from a practice of yoga and meditation is awareness
Hmm.
and relaxation.
Mm.
So many times when I would work with athletes, um, before a game or before practice, if they are not relaxed, uh, the correct relaxation, not like
Right.
the,
Yeah.
that zone, if they are not in that
Right.
zone, then they make mistakes.
Yeah.
Then there can be injury during practice,
Hmm.
and then the team has to suffer.
Right.
So that relaxation is very, very important before we go into that, that mindset. And that awareness is very, very important. So yoga can help us get the first two things, relaxation and awareness. Once we have awareness, once we are relaxed, then of course there can be that better understanding
Hmm.
when we are in that space. Because the example I'd like to give is, oh, I can't find my key. I can't find my key. Where's my key? Where's my key? Dum dum dum. Where's my key? Here's my key. Where's my key? Where's my key? Where's
Right.
my key? And just sit, relax. I'm sitting, having my coffee. Ah, there's my key. Yeah.
Right.
Our bodies are beautiful.
Yeah.
Minds are beautiful. It's just we are wired so tight. We are rung so tight that we are not able to get that beauty from us.
Right.
So that is what I think meditation does. The relaxation and awareness.
Yeah. So how often does somebody need to do it? Like, well, two questions. One is like, how long should we do a yoga session, a yoga, and then like, how often do we need to do it? Is that dependent on sort of where our lifestyle is, or how long we've done it, and we get into a rhythm of understanding if this is what works for me?
So when COVID happened, mental health became a buzzword,
Yep.
and a lot of companies, especially in tech, like to do performative wellness.
Hmm.
And performative wellness is that, oh, today we are going to talk about mental health, and today we are going to talk about yoga, we are going to talk about burnout. And then I was invited as a speaker, and then we will talk, and then that's it. Then that's it. We have cured mental health issues.
Right.
And I'm holding my head that that's not how it works. You can't just go to the gym in pilgrimage once and then think that, oh, we have cured weight loss.
Right.
It has to be a lifestyle modification. So when we are talking about duration, one duration is lifelong.
Okay.
Till the time we are on this planet, we have to work with our brains, we have to work with our bodies, we have to work with ourselves. And the more the science is coming out, the more we are researching, we are seeing that meditation helps our nervous system.
Hmm.
And when we are looking at the end of life care, we are looking at all these diseases like Parkinson's and dementia. If meditation can help us
Hmm.
have a better mind body connection, better uh, cerebral health, better cognitive health, then we should continue this practice for
Right.
as long as we are on this planet. Now, when it comes to duration, then I always like to take the example of sports. Not everybody wants to become Hussein Bolt.
Right.
So not everybody meditates to become the Buddha.
Right.
Yeah, but a little bit time on the treadmill can help.
Yeah.
And yes, we are not putting that much effort and we're not going all out. So it doesn't need to be.
Hmm.
So that's why our practice can be as simple as 5 to 10 minutes a day.
Hmm.
And we can get the benefits that an average person is so desperately seeking.
Yeah.
Now, when we are talking about time, when we should practice, then I would like to say early in the morning before we start the chaotic life, you
Hmm.
know, that is a very good time. And late in the evening before we are ready to check out,
Hmm.
that is a very, very beautiful time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these three approaches to time are suggested
Well,
by me.
and
Yes.
and and that's I love the doing it at the end of the day, because I think so many of us, we get to the end of the day, we've been so stressed, we're so busy with different things that we've had to do, and we sit down and we have a snack that's typically not healthy, and we put on the TV, and we either fall asleep on the sofa, or we down that bag of chips, and then turn it off and go straight to bed. And we haven't given our body that chance to truly, even though we think we are because we're sitting there doing nothing, but
Yes,
really
and
we haven't given our body a chance to detox from everything for the day.
precisely. And insomnia is a very real problem for a lot of Americans.
Hmm.
And a lot of people that I work with, they say that, oh, we don't have a good quality of sleep. And it's just considered a norm. It's like it's become normal not
Yeah.
having a good quality of sleep.
Yeah.
And they deal with it by self-medicating with certain substances, and then having a bad quality of sleep, and then wake up with a big cup of coffee.
Right.
And coffee is the most socially acceptable drug.
Yep.
And what we don't realize is that a lack of sleep, insomnia over the long term, has a lot of health
Oh, yeah.
impacts, not just the physical health, but also the brain health.
Hmm.
And when we did our research with Yoga of Immortals, we had a study that we were looking at 10,000 participants, and we found out that just by this little practice, almost 90% of people that were part of that study were able to overcome their severe insomnia, the ones who had it, without any pharmaceutical intervention. So just these little behavioral tweaks
Right.
can bring us that quality of life, that sleep, that relaxation that we are looking for. And as you said, that the opening the bag of chips, opening the TV, or opening a what can of beer or bottle of beer, and then just letting the body not rest.
Yeah.
Whereas you make a decision that no, I deserve better. You have some self love for your body that's working so hard for you, and
Yeah.
say no, that I this time is for me. It's the me time, and I sit, I meditate, I enjoy that meditation. And now we have that clinical studies that meditation before sleep increases the quality of sleep phenomenally, and hence creates increases the quality of life.
Well, and like you said, one of the things that I researched several years ago was the level of sleep deprivation, and I don't think
Yes.
that people understand that. One of the researches that I saw said that by the age of 40, for the average person that has gone on and gotten a bachelor's degree in, and married, has kids when they're in their 30s, by the age of 40, you're at like it's over 2 years worth of sleep deprivation. And the impact of that, like you're obviously never going to catch up, right? Like you're never going to catch up 2 years worth of sleep over the rest of your life. And so the impact of that is enormous.
Yes, and here also the quality of sleep. Uh, we can sometimes try to focus on the quality of sleep, so that if we do not have the luxury of resting for so many hours,
Mhm.
then what are the tools and tweaks that we can do so that we can have a better quality of sleep, better REM sleep in the
Right.
time that we do have, and help the body relax in a certain way.
Yeah.
So because there is this whole natural progression of how the body relaxes, how our heart rate goes down, how our brain goes in a certain manner, and
Right.
then naturally after some time when that's achieved, then that quality of sleep happens. But through meditation and yoga we can manipulate that.
Right.
We can achieve those states in a faster time period, so that if we are in that war footing, or if we are in that time and place in our lives where we really do want to sleep but can't,
Yeah.
and I'm not in any way saying that that's a healthy way to live.
Sure.
I'm just saying that if you have to,
Mhm.
then please explore these tools,
Yeah.
so that if you only have, let's say, 4 hours or 5 hours, then how to get the maximum juice out of that 5 hours, have
Right.
that meditation practice, go into that state of deep meditative bliss, and then when you're sleeping, so straight away you have achieved. Because even when a person is sleeping, the time of REM isn't that long.
Right.
That place where the real healing happens, the place where the real um, fixing of the body happens, and the mind, it's a very short time period. But it's just that because we're not trained to uh, achieve that zone, then the body takes its own sweet, sweet time.
Right.
But that is what yoga is, mastery, self
Yeah.
mastery. Meditation is mastery of the mind. And then imagine we can get so much more from that few hours. So,
Right.
yes, we don't maybe need to sleep for 2 extra years, but what little time we have, we can make do from it.
Right. Well, and so you're saying that, and the image that popped into my head is, so I have a 12-year-old son, and uh, I remember a couple of years ago when he first got a tablet, and so he's using it and he's playing his games and everything, and he'd come in and say like, "Oh, the battery's about to die. Like, what do I do?" I'm like, "Okay, well, you turn it off and you plug it in and let it charge up." And that worked for about a week or 2 weeks, and then it was like, "Oh, I figured out if I plug it in, I can still play on it while it's plugged into the wall." But then he'd say, "Why it's never charging. I can't ever take it anywhere. I always have to plug it into the wall." Like, well, because you're never letting it stop and fully charge. Like, just because it's plugged in doesn't mean it's charging if you're still playing on it.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things that we've got to realize is like sometimes in using I think using meditation and yoga at the end of the day and getting to that relaxation place quicker allows us to plug into the wall, turn off, and recharge that battery a lot faster.
Yes.
So, Yoga of Immortals, how can people like find you, find out what you're doing, get involved?
So, right now I am doing these events
Mhm.
where asynchronous sessions are being held, and I invite people from all walks of life to come so that they can have an introduction to these modalities that we have worked upon, we have developed. And I think I will share that link with you,
Cool.
and you can share it with all your listeners
Yeah.
so that at least they can benefit. So in
Right.
those sessions, I come live, and we have this wonderful community from around the world. Thousands of people join in, log in, and then we just do the processes. So it's a 1 hour session where it's not a lot of introduction that I give,
Right.
because I assume that if you are finding your way to the session, you've done your own research. I trust you.
Right.
So you just go straight into it,
Awesome.
straight into the process. And we do that thing, and then we finish. And I think there's a whole series that's going on right now. So I
Okay.
would love for people to be part of it.
Awesome.
And other than that, you can find me on LinkedIn
Okay.
under Ishan Shivanand. I would love to connect with you. Yes.
Awesome. So I will, yeah, I'll share that link. And I know I saw the one for last month, and I had something already scheduled that day, so I wasn't able to join in, but I'm definitely going to join in on one or more. Um, because I know the value of slowing down and connecting with yourself, and in it's amazing that our what our bodies can tell us about healing ourselves if we just stop and listen to, because I believe if you can touch into that, your body already knows what's being damaged, and it'll tell you stop doing this because you're damaging yourself. Like, the body wants to live on, and the cells want to live on. And if we don't stop and listen to them, we're just going to keep continuing to damage them and get to some point in our 50s or 60s, and now we've got chronic diseases that are going to be really hard to reverse.
Yes, and it's the conditioning. We've always been taught to go against our own nature.
Yeah.
From childhood, we want to do something, we've been told, oh, do this. So we just learn to always ignore ourselves, and we think that that's normal. And that's the sad part,
Yeah.
that we have such a twisted normal that we have made for society. And in a perfect world, a person doesn't need to be taught all these things. Yes, it's just being in tune with your own self,
Right.
understanding. Nobody needs to be taught all these concepts, because they are so in grasp with our nature.
Mhm.
And the beautiful thing is that when a person practices these things, like yoga, meditation, these modalities, these protocols, it fits like an old glove.
Mm,
It becomes a part of who you are. It becomes
right.
like an essence. And then you think to yourself, this was so easy.
Right.
But as you said, and as you know, the programming, the past programming that we have been carrying, sometimes it takes an effort to
Mhm.
overcome that programming. And that's where, the mindset really helps, that you
Right.
decide that I'm going to do this, willpower.
Yeah.
And that few weeks, that few days will be a bit hard. But once we are able to overcome that, then it becomes beautiful.
Yep. I agree. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ishan, for being a guest. I've really enjoyed it.
Yes, I also really enjoyed a lot. Thank you so very much for having me. And thank you for this wonderful conversation.
Of course. Thanks for checking out the Confidence Through Health podcast. Please subscribe, post a review, share this episode with those you love who need a little extra help with their health journey. Visit allinhealthandwellness.com to learn more about the coaching programs that I provide. All episodes are produced by the Social Media Cowboys, your source for all online marketing needs. Go to socialmediacowboys.com for more information.